Let's kick things off with the droid equivalent of your dad's first computer, the R1 series astromech. Standing at a towering 1.94 meters tall, that's about 6'4" for you Americans, the R1 was Industrial Automaton's first crack at bringing astromech droids to the consumer market, and boy was it a weird one. Picture a jet black trash compactor on a single wheel and you're halfway there. The R1 reused the black body shells from the company's Mark II reactor drones, which gave it the aesthetic appeal of a mobile nuclear reactor. Because nothing says friendly helper droid quite like industrial waste management chick. But here's the thing, beneath that intimidating exterior beat the heart of a revolutionary machine. The center of the R1's design was the Intellex 3 computer brain, which contained a comprehensive catalog of 500 Starship configurations. Even more impressively, the R1 was the first industrial automaton astromech able to calculate complex navigational coordinates necessary to complete a single hyperspace jump. Before this, navigators had to calculate jumps manually. Imagine doing calculus while someone's shooting at you. The R1's thick radiation shielding made it perfect for working in hazardous environments, but its single-threaded unipod was about as reliable as a hyperdrive made of wishful thinking. The droid moved about via a threaded unipod, which was slow and often malfunctioned, causing a frequent lack of locomotion. Owners complained about everything from the droid's personality quirks to its frequent breakdowns. It's like industrial automation looked at all the feedback and said, "Got it! Make the next one smaller, faster, and less likely to develop existential dread." You might remember seeing an R1 in A New Hope, that tall, dark droid the Jawas tried to sell to Uncle Owen before R2-D2 pulled his famous bad motivator con job on R5-D4. That R1G4 unit was actually a deliberate homage to sci-fi artist Chris Foss, proving that even droid designers are nerds at heart. If the R1 was the awkward teenager of the astromech world, the R2 was the cool kid who showed up and changed everything. R2 series astromech droids, also known as R2 units, were a very popular series of astromech droids produced by Industrial Automaton. They were the most popular line of all the R series. Standing at just over a meter tall with that iconic dome head, R2 units became the Swiss Army knives of the droid world. What made the R2 so special? For starters, Industrial Automaton finally figured out that maybe, just maybe, droids should be able to move reliably. The R2's three-wheel design was simple, effective, and didn't require a degree in mechanical engineering to maintain, but the real magic was in the software. R2 units came equipped with personality matrices that allowed them to develop distinct characteristics over time. Sure, this meant they could get a bit sassy, looking at you R2-D2, but it also made them incredibly adaptable problem solvers. The R2's tool loadout was nothing short of impressive. We're talking buzzsaws, arc welders, computer interfaces, holographic projectors, fire extinguishers, and even the occasional hidden lightsaber compartment, though that last one wasn't exactly factory standard. These droids could slice through computer systems faster than you could say, "We're doomed," repair starfighters mid-flight, and even serve drinks at your victory celebration. But here's a fun fact that really drives home just how successful the R2 line was. Although the R2 series was used over a century prior to the Clone Wars, they were still considered to be fairly new during the Age of the Empire. That's like your great-great-grandpa's iPhone still being considered cutting-edge technology. The R2's success was so overwhelming that Industrial Automaton basically spent the next several decades trying to recapture that lightning in a bottle. The cultural impact of R2 units extends far beyond their technical specifications. They became so synonymous with reliability and heroism that "Get me an R2 unit" became the Star Wars equivalent of "Call IT support." And speaking of heroism, let's not forget that an R2 unit literally saved the galaxy multiple times. R2-D2 carried the Death Star plans, fixed the Millennium Falcon's hyperdrive at crucial moments, and even served as Luke Skywalker's co-pilot during the Battle of Yavin. Not too bad for a droid that was supposed to just fix stuff and beep reassuringly. Now we come to the R3 series, Industrial Automaton's attempt to answer the question, what if we made R2 but for big ships? For their next entry in the series, IA's management tasked its engineers with one goal: take the R2 and improve on it. Their solution? Give it a transparent dome and stuff it full of tactical programming. The R3's most distinctive feature was its clear plastex or transparasteel dome, which wasn't just for show. The transparency gave the droid's internal sensor package greater range and allowed crew members to literally see the droid's upgraded Intellects 5 computer brain at work. It was like having a window into the droid's thought process, which was either really cool or mildly unsettling, depending on your perspective. But the R3 wasn't just about looking different. IA's droid designers decided to make the new model the capital warships and battle station's answer to the starfighter-based R2 unit. The new droid received programming in gunnery repair and security protocols. These droids were specifically designed to maintain the massive weapon systems on Star Destroyers and even found their way onto both Death Stars. Yes, that means R3 units were probably maintaining the very super laser that destroyed Alderaan. Talk about a dark addition to your resume. The R3's initial production run was massive. The Galactic Republic purchased 125 million of the droids during IA's initial production run. That's not a typo. 125 million units. To put that into perspective, that's roughly one R3 for every 80,000 beings in the Republic at the time. The Empire continued buying them in bulk, which led to an interesting side effect. The Rebel Alliance got many of their R3 units by stealing them from the Empire. Nothing says stick it to the man quite like using their own maintenance droids against them. Here's where things get interesting from a galactic politics standpoint. Due to the sensitive nature of the R3's programming, the rather expensive model was sold only to recognized government organizations. This exclusivity made R3 units status symbols in certain circles. Having an R3 basically meant you were either working for the government, had stolen from the government, or had bought from someone who had stolen from the government. The black market for R3 units was absolutely thriving during the Imperial era. Despite their tactical programming and security features, R3 units shared their predecessors' tendency to develop personality quirks. Some became paranoid about security breaches, others developed an obsessive need to optimize weapon systems efficiency, and a few reportedly started making tactical suggestions during battles. Not always welcome when you're trying to concentrate on not getting blown up by enemy turbo lasers. Here's where Industrial Automaton's naming convention gets a bit wonky. The R4 series wasn't so much a revolution as it was an evolution. Specifically, an evolution designed for Jedi Knights who needed their astromechs to be as tough as a Rancor and twice as reliable. R4 droids were extremely popular among members of the old Jedi Order, especially during the Separatist Crisis and Clone Wars. But here's the kicker. They were often modified to use R2 series domed heads. This modification combined the advanced features of the R2 unit with the durability of R4 droids. It's like putting a sports car engine into a tank. You get the best of both worlds. These hybrid models became so common that most people couldn't tell the difference between a true R4 and an R2-headed R4. Obi-Wan Kenobi's faithful R4 P-17 was actually one of these hybrids, sporting an R2 dome on an R4 body. This droid served alongside the Jedi Master through countless missions, from the hunt for Jango Fett to the Battle of Coruscant. The fact that Obi-Wan, notorious for his flying is for droids attitude, trusted R4 P-17 speaks volumes about the model's reliability. The R4's durability wasn't just marketing speak. These droids were built to withstand the kind of abuse that came with following Jedi into combat zones. We're talking about the droids that could take a blaster bolt and keep calculating hyperspace jumps, survive crash landings that would turn an R2 into spare parts, and still have enough processing power to remind their Jedi that they forgot to file their mission reports with the Council. The relationship between Jedi and their R4 units often went beyond mere utility. On Utapau, Obi-Wan Kenobi had R4 G9 pilot his starfighter back to clone Commander Cody, reporting his discovery of Grievous and tricking the Separatists into thinking that Kenobi left the planet. That's not just following orders, that's tactical thinking and deception worthy of a seasoned operative. What makes the R4 story particularly poignant is what happened to most of these droids after Order 66. With their Jedi Masters dead or in hiding, many R4 units were either destroyed, memory wiped and repurposed, or left to wander the galaxy with corrupted memory cores, searching for masters who would never return. Some say you can still find the occasional R4 in the Outer Rim, running outdated Jedi authentication protocols and asking passing Force sensitives if they've seen Master so-and-so. It's enough to make even a battle-hardened smuggler shed a tear into their Corellian whiskey. Oh, the R5. Poor maligned R5. If the R2 was the golden child and the R3 was the overachiever, the R5 was the family disappointment who eventually made good. Well, sort of. Industrial Automaton's R5 series is perhaps the most interesting tale of failure and redemption in the entire R series lineup. The R5 was supposed to be the affordable alternative to the R4, marketed to civilians and smaller organizations who couldn't afford the military-grade hardware. Industrial Automaton cut costs wherever possible, and boy did it show. Early R5 units had a reputation for malfunctioning at the worst possible moments. The most famous example, R5-D4's Bad Motivator in A New Hope, which wasn't just a random malfunction, but actually became synonymous with the entire line's reliability issues. But here's where the story gets interesting. Following the poor reception and sales of their R5 droids, Industrial Automaton used R5 shells to house older units, leading some, like the R2AG, to almost exclusively house higher quality models within R5 bodies. It was the droid equivalent of putting a Ferrari engine into a Pinto body. It was the droid equivalent of putting a Ferrari engine into a Miata. Sure, it looked cheap, but under the hood, you might have something special. This practice led to a thriving modification culture around R5 units. Mechanics and droid specialists began to see R5s as blank canvases, perfect for experimentation. The standardized R5 shell could house anything from upgraded R2 components to completely custom builds. Some of the most capable astromechs in the Outer Rim were R5s that had been so heavily modified, they bore little resemblance to their original specifications. The R5's redemption arc really began during the Galactic Civil War. The Rebellion, always strapped for resources, couldn't afford to be picky about their droids. They took in every R5 they could get their hands on and put their best technicians to work fixing the inherent laws. What they discovered was that once you addressed the R5's reliability issues, you had a perfectly serviceable astromech at a fraction of the cost of newer models. Some R5 units even became legendary in their own right. There are stories of R5 units that kept entire rebel cells operational, maintaining fleets of aging starfighters with nothing but ingenuity and whatever spare parts they could scavenge. One R5 unit reportedly kept a Y-wing flying for over 2 years using parts from 3 different starfighter models and what the pilot described as pure droid stubbornness. The R5's legacy is complex. Yes, they were the budget option. Yes, they had reliability issues, but they also represented something important: the democratization of astromech technology. Not everyone could afford an R2 or qualify for an R3, but an R5? That was attainable. They brought advanced droid assistance to moisture farmers, independent traders, and small-time smugglers across the galaxy. In many ways, the R5 was the people's astromech. While the first 5R series models gets all the glory, Industrial Automaton didn't stop innovating. The later R series models, particularly those developed during and after the Galactic Civil War, showed how far astromech technology could be pushed. The R2R series reconnaissance astromech droid is a variant on the wildly popular R2 series astromech droid, designed specifically for use within Corporation starfighters. These specialized units showcased how the basic R series framework could be adapted for specific roles. R2R series astromech droids are capable of flying reconnaissance ships, operating sensors, monitoring local communications frequencies, and performing many of the more menial and routine tasks on scouting missions. The R6 series attempted to create the ultimate astromech by combining the best features of all previous models. The R7 series was designed specifically for the New Republic's E-Wing fighters, featuring enhanced targeting computers and tactical analysis software. The R8 series pushed into dangerous territory with experimental artificial intelligence that some claimed bordered on true sentience. And the R9 series? Well, let's just say that when your astromech starts questioning the philosophical implications of hyperspace travel, you know technology has come a long way. What's remarkable about the R series evolution is how each model addressed specific gaps in the market while maintaining backward compatibility. An R9 unit could still interface with systems designed for an R1, a testament to Industrial Automaton's commitment to standardization. This compatibility meant that even decades after their manufacture, older R-Series units remained valuable assets. The influence of R-Series droids extended far beyond their original manufacturer. Competitors tried to create their own astromech lines, but none achieved the same cultural penetration. The term R2 unit became so generic that many people used it to refer to any astromech droid, much to the chagrin of Industrial Automaton's legal department. During the New Republic era, we saw a fascinating trend of heritage rebuilds, taking ancient R1 or R2 units and upgrading them with modern components while maintaining their original personality matrices. These droids became highly sought after, combining decades of experience with cutting-edge technology. Imagine having a droid that remembered serving in the Clone Wars, but could also slice through modern Imperial encryption. That's the kind of capability that made collectors and military organizations alike willing to pay top credit. So, there you have it, folks. The complete story of the R-Series astromech droids. From the awkward R1 to the legendary R2, from the tactical R3 to the resilient R4 and R5, these droids have been the unsung heroes of the Star Wars galaxy for over a century. They've saved countless lives, turned the tide of battles, and proven that sometimes the real heroes are the ones who keep everything running, while the flashy folks with lightsabers get all the credit. What's your favorite R-Series moment? Drop a comment below and let us know which astromech you'd want by your side in a galaxy far, far away. And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive into droid history, hit that subscribe button faster than an R2 unit calculating a hyperspace jump. We've got plenty more Star Wars tech breakdowns coming your way. Until next time, may the Force be with you, and may your motivator never go bad when you need it most.